Can you believe 2024 is almost done? In this video, I'd like to share with you my life in 2024. I'll tell you about my winter in Florida, how I went from van lifer to landowner in 2024, and I'll give you a glimpse of my European adventure in Portugal. So let's go back in time to the very beginning of 2024.
Made it to South Georgia. Apparently there's a lot of alligators in here, so I'm not going to venture too far. Kind of creepy and beautiful at the same time.
We started the year off January 1st in Tallahassee, the capital of Florida. Because I live in a van, my boyfriend and I were able to travel from southwest to southeast to the Keys, Key West, northeast, all over Florida, all winter long. After all the driving from Timmins, Ontario to Tallahassee, Florida, we escaped to the wilderness of Florida and found ourselves in Alachua. It was so nice to be in the warmth and beauty of Florida. We really got to appreciate it here. We also found a spot to stay for a few days to work on finishing some kitchen renos in the van. It felt cozy and blessed to recharge here. A new oven meant muffins, pizza, cookies, lasagna. I was so excited. I also really loved all the new cabinets. And then we were back into city life in Gainesville, where we saw our first alligator. With a population of 140,000, it was just a very pleasant city to walk in. Next was the obligatory swim with the manatees, my favorite sea animal. They are so sweet and gentle and slow. Swimming with them is always so thrilling. At over 400,000 in population, Tampa felt big and honestly a little overwhelming. So we took refuge on Davis Island, where the view of Tampa was amazing, yet the community was quaint, historic, and small. After Tampa, we beach hopped some famous spots like Anna Maria Island, Bradenton Beach, Longboat Key, Siesta Key. We were really in beachy Florida now. Then we got to Naples, and we took a week's break there to visit with my mom. Her and her husband had rented a place there for the winter, so we stopped, golfed, shopped. We went to a live concert and did all kinds of things, more work on the van, and mostly just bonded with my mom and her husband. After the fast pace in Naples and on the southwest coast of Florida, we needed nature. So we scurried off into the Everglades.
I'll let you in on a little secret. Not many people want to come to the Everglades because of all the snakes and alligators and insects everywhere. It's actually beautiful and so peaceful. If you're a country lover and you van life, this is where you want to be. Peaceful. Nobody else around because it's so scary, right?
The Everglades did not disappoint in the alligator department. We saw quite a lot of the iconic creatures swimming by, but I felt perfectly safe observing them from my van's rooftop deck. After 3-4 days in the solitude of the Everglades by ourselves, we felt ready to move on. So we headed for the Florida Keys.
We're in the Florida Keys right now, and you wouldn't think that there are spots like this, but I found one. This spot is at the end of a road. The road ends. There I am, so quiet here. I love it.
With the warm, salty air caressing our skin, we drove through all the Keys and savored our good fortune to be here in January. Out of the Keys, we headed north to Miami. While South Miami did not really float my boat, North Miami was quite nice. But then, of course, it got too busy, so we escaped to Key Biscayne, and that was like paradise.
Look at all this love we found. Gotta raise some more toast to the sweet life. I feel strong, I don't wanna be right. See the sun giving me the green light. Kick back, relax, and soak up the sweet sights. Take me to the ocean, take me to the sea.
We continued driving up the east coast of Florida, stopping wherever we felt drawn to, heading north. Pompano Beach, just past Fort Lauderdale, stood out to me as being particularly pleasant and chill, mostly due to the sea and the giant iguanas that were so cute, chewing on grass everywhere. It was so exciting to be traveling in such good weather with such lovely surroundings. Beach after beach, we went shell hunting and swimming in a plethora of sandy Floridian beaches. West Palm Beach is another place that stands out in my memory. Probably because it's the first time and only time I ever got super stuck with my van while traveling. After recuperating in West Palm Beach for a while, we headed inland to the central lake of Florida, Lake Okeechobee. Okeechobee is the 8th largest freshwater lake in all the states. This Florida lake is really popular with fishermen. This lake is freshwater, and it's Florida's largest lake. I found several nice places to stay all around the lake, so we circled the lake and enjoyed peaceful days walking in nature, looking for birds, for manatees, and doing yoga on the side of the lake. It finally happened. We fell in love with one beach, and we stayed 2 weeks. Hutchinson Island off Jensen Beach was just ideal for us. First of all, it was gorgeous, right on the beach. A free spot to stealth camp with fresh water, showers, garbage. It was basically a van lifer's dream come true. We were into February by now, and we spent Valentine's Day at the beach. The beach is totally my happy place. Is it yours? Space Coast was next, and it did not disappoint. We got to see rockets, military planes, gorgeous beaches, a possible shark, and quite a few dolphins. Oh yeah, we also witnessed a space launch for Starlink. A Starlink satellite was being launched. The natural beauty we experienced on the coast was, in my opinion, so much more satisfying than fighting the crowds in Orlando tourist traps just a few miles away. After the Space Coast, we kept driving north until we hit Jacksonville, the largest city in Florida. But honestly, the only pictures I took were of the Planet Fitness. Craving nature again, we headed inland to Silver River. There are so many freshwater springs in Florida, thousands actually, and no two are alike. The crystal clear water at Silver River Springs was colorful and mesmerizing. Passing through and camping in a national forest, we got to Live Oak, which was a surprisingly beautiful, flowery, and just a nice town. It was a Florida heritage town, so it had lots of history. March was now upon us, and so we headed over to the Panhandle, which turned out to be our favorite part of Florida. Alligator Point was a really unique and beautiful community on the way to the Panhandle. We saw dolphins and shark here. So many houses were built on tall stilts. We thought they were super cool, but it's because of the proximity of the sea and the high tides and storm surges. As we started to get more and more into the Panhandle, the sand went from brown to white, and at a certain point, it just looked like snow. I vowed to return to this area of Florida someday, rent a house here for a month. I just loved it so much. Then it was party time in Destin. We got there just before spring break, so everything was getting ready for spring break, but the crowds were not there yet, so we had it almost all to ourselves. The first night in Destin, we slept in the Coyote Ugly parking lot, and it literally sounded like we were sleeping on stage. It was so loud. I'm not complaining though. It was an unforgettable experience. And besides, we can sleep through anything. You want to stay another day? Alright. Finally, we dragged ourselves out of Destin and made our way to Pensacola. Known for its white sandy beaches, it's also the cradle of naval aviation and the home of the Blue Angels. Last but definitely not least in our Floridian adventure, Perdue Key. Oh, Florida, I miss you already. Both myself and my boyfriend are country music fans, so we made sure to swing by Nashville for a night at the Opry. It was in honor of my boyfriend's birthday. My unexpected delight was the Gaylord Resort, which totally blew me away. There were gardens, flowers, and fountains everywhere in this huge hotel resort. One water feature was so big, they were giving boat rides inside the motel. I found a piece of land in April that had everything I was looking for. It was over 2 acres. It was a blank slate of a lot for me to design how I pleased. It had a water feature, a pond, and a creek. It was centrally located to get business from all the surrounding towns and villages, and it was private without being isolated. So that was the first job I took when I got back. I was so very happy to be back for my dad's birthday at the beginning of May. Then I took a second job at the flower shop during Mother's Day rush. Then I took a third job for the summer at Floral Dimensions greenhouses. I also started a bunch of seedlings myself because, well, it's springtime and I cannot help myself. Plus, I was planning to plant all these on my new land coming up. And then on the day of my niece Jamie's wedding, I got possession of my land. My summer can be summarized as such. I worked and I planted things on my land. In July, I cleaned up the land so that it was spick and span, just how I like it, and watched my gardens grow. I was still living in my van, it's just that now I had a permanent place that I could park. August was about landscaping the land to start shaping it into my vision. My boyfriend, luckily, was just like a transformer in that machine. Very skilled, and I'm very lucky. This is my little garden this year just because, well, I have to grow. Got carrots,
chamomile, lots of chamomile.
Everything was growing really nicely and really fulfilling my desire to grow things. By September, I could not take the look of my garage any longer. It was like half baby blue, half white, with gray splacks everywhere. So anyways, I painted all dark gray with the help of my boyfriend for the super high areas. And now it's actually soothing to look at. September was also a time for harvest, and harvest I did. My tomatoes were the biggest producer this year, so I made lots of sauce and lots of pasta. My water features at the land were really starting to take shape. I now have 2 ponds, a creek, and a swale. So happy with all the improvements in my main pond this year. It looks fantastic. My gazebo also got a facelift, and I established the first tier of my showcase garden. The final touch for the gazebo was the 5 cedars my boyfriend gifted me for my birthday. I am just so proud of how far along I came in one season in 2024 at my new land. And living out of the van while working the land was just the ideal situation. As fall was upon us, it was time to start traveling again. First, to go see my mom in Castleman, close to Ottawa. October came, and it was time for a pop-up shop I put on. I called it the Great Mom Clearance. I sold so many of these beauties over the course of 2 weeks. I also planted an entire strawberry patch in October, and I returned to the flower shop for Thanksgiving rush. The sun was setting on my time this year in 2024 at the land. Late October also meant Air Canada cargo training. I was shipped off to Toronto and learnt a lot, and it was actually quite fun. November came, and it was time for our long-awaited trip to Portugal. I just wanted to live like a local Portuguese. We rented an apartment, and that's what we did. We lived like locals for a month. We stayed in Porto, and I would highly recommend it over Lisbon because it's a lot more chill, the people are friendlier, and there's no honking. The architecture in Portugal kept us marveling for the whole month. Every day we made sure to get our 10,000 steps, and it was always so pleasant because every day we discovered something new, even in the same neighborhood, just taking a different street, completely different scenery. In Porto, I had plenty of time to relax and adopt some really good morning routines. We walked all around Porto. We toured the 6 bridges and tasted all the local vegan cuisine. Our favorite restaurant was a place called Da Terra, a chain of buffet restaurants, all vegan. Delicious vegan food, and we made a friend. We learned that the beautiful and stylish tiles on the Casas Portuguesas were not only for beauty and to showcase personality, but to protect the houses from the salty air and humidity. 900-kilometer Douro River crosses both Spain and Portugal and empties into the Atlantic at Porto. Speaking of the Atlantic, Porto features a plethora of beaches, praias. Check out how many there are. I had found my happy place in Portugal. Plants and gardens are also my happy place, and we found lots of that in Porto. Very happy to stay in and around Porto for the whole month. However, we did leave for one side trip. We lived on a sailboat for 2 days in the harbor in Lisbon. We didn't take the boat out, but we did live aboard for 2 days. Lisbon was big, beautiful, and loud. We actually did a lot of touristy things in Lisbon, but it was fun because we shared it with my mom and her husband. They decided to come down because it just looked too beautiful in my snaps. So the four of us had quite the fun time discovering Lisbon. We even got to assist a Christmas market. It was the first opening weekend, so it was pretty crazy, very packed, but worth going to for sure. All in all, our Portugal adventure was wonderful. I would highly recommend a trip to Portugal as the gateway to Europe. It's just foreign enough to be thrilling, yet familiar enough to make everything easy, and it has everything that you could possibly need. 10 stars for Portugal. Just like that, December was upon us, and it was time to head back to Canada. Christmas was coming. December was a flurry of activities. Flowers and airplanes and parties, oh my. Here's hoping that you had a magical 2024 Christmas. And may 2025 bring you a new determination to create the life of your dreams. Thanks for watching.